Okay, for the installation, all you're gonna need is your clutch, new clutch pack, clutch cover, gasket, C4, C5, and an 8mm, and all the stuff you took out with it, the 12 bolts, 6 clutch springs. And that is it. Alright, I like to lay everything out. The first thing you do is get your new clutch pack, and you just line them up in there. Fiber, clutch steel. Remember, the bevel part of this goes to the front, the flat part goes to the back. And line them up in these splines. Kind of are doing it one-handed. And then your next fiber. And some of you will have a jitter ring. My bike doesn't. It's a race bike, but there'll be a little, looks like a little springed washer. You actually put that in this. If you have one, add it now in front of this clutch steel. So you would put this in, then that springed washer set after the second one, and then put your fiber back on it, and then put your next steel, and onward like that until the last one. This is actually my clutch cushion. I got rid of the jitter ring, the plastic spring, and I'm running that. It's supposed to cushion the clutch a little bit better. They're out of a 2004 and 5. And then another steel. Another fiber. Last steel, and the last fiber. Now I've heard people say turn the last fiber. You can do that if you want. I did it. It's how it came out of the bike. Now that you've got the clutch pack in, you want to put your clutch hat back on. So just put it in, and these holes right here will line up with these studs for your clutch springs. It can only go in one way, so see, I have it wrong here. Turn it until it fits. See, now it sits flush. Then add your clutch springs in. Now I've added washers behind my clutch springs to give my clutch a little more clamping force. You can just put it in with new springs. Totally up to you. This will help my clutch not to slip as much.
Alright, now that you got 6 springs started, you want to tighten them down in a cross pattern. So, start with anyone you pick. So you get tightened down. Alright, that one's tight, so I'll get down.
Now for the clutch cover. The clutch cover has, when you're installing it, you can reuse the same gasket. It's reusable, factory gasket. I've reused it 10 times. Make sure your dowel pins are still in the motor and they didn't fall out in your engine upon removal. Okay, that's what you want to do. You want to put this clutch, line it up, these dowel pins with those dowel pins in the block, these dowel pin holes with the dowel pins in the block. So I'm gonna do that right now. Here. Okay, you ready? Morty, go ahead.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, when installing this clutch cover, one more thing you want to look for is this clutch cable actuator rod lines up with this. When you pull your clutch cable in, it moves. It makes a turning motion like this, and it actually pulls this rod, which disengages this clutch pack. You want to make sure when you put it in the bike that it sits a little farther back. So it was originally like this with the clutch cable in it. You want it, when you install it, you want to turn it backwards and then pull it forward, and it will catch. This slot will catch in this groove. I'll try to show you why I'm doing it. It's a little tough. Also, when you're putting it together, make sure you don't get your clutch cable caught in anything. And there's one wire in these bikes, and I've actually done it. You can see it right here. It will get caught down in your clutch cover. You want to make sure all that stuff is tucked up nice and neat. You how to install the clutch cover. All right. Now with the clutch lever back, you want it kind of at this angle. You'll pull it forward, and you'll notice if you have it on like it's supposed to be, your clutch cover will flatten out. If not, like I can pull it forward by hand. I don't have it lined up, so I have to take it back off and try again. Again, make sure there is nothing behind it, keeping it from going back together. All right, here we go. All right, and now it's right. The clutch rod will not move any farther than this by hand. So now you know it's in the right spot. Now for installation of the bolts. You can put any of your 12 bolts in. They're all the same size except this one. This is your clutch cable bolt, the one that holds the clutch cable to the clutch cover. This one's longer than the rest of them. It is the only one you cannot mix up with the rest of them. So make sure that one goes back in, holding the clutch cable in. All the rest of these, it doesn't matter. You can put them anywhere you want. So you can start one over here just to hold the clutch cover in place. It's an 8mm. And just space them out a little. You don't want to put them all in the same spot at the same time. Stop again. All right, and you proceed to put all the rest of your clutch bolts in, clutch cover bolts. So go ahead and start them all by hand. You don't want to cross thread them. If at any point the clutch cover is a little off on one side or didn't seat flushly, restart the process. Something's not right, something's not even. This clutch rod is binding. Usually the problem, you take it back off, pull the clutch rod back, seat it again, and then pull it forward, and it'll catch and pull itself back in. So, all the 12 bolts. started, you want to do this by hand. You don't want to mess up, cross thread your block. This wouldn't be a fun day. It's a lot slower, but it's a lot better. I need you over here. I want to show the ones in the back. All right, do not forget these bolt holes in the corner up here. They're hard to see, but these are the ones that have those pieces of rubber that fall in front of them. So do not leave these out. Alright. And the last one, other than the clutch cable bolt. All right, now for the last bolt. There's a trick to doing this. It'll save you a lot of time. You want to take your clutch cable. All right, hold the thing. All right, now for your clutch cable. There's a trick to doing this. Do not put the last bolt in yet. You want to slide this back. See right here, it has a groove it'll go in. This will slide into this groove. All right, so you want to turn it around. Well, it's nice and slack, and slide it in the groove before you put any of the rest of it together. All right, now that it's in that groove, you can put that bolt in, the long bolt, clutch cover bolt. You don't want to put it in first. It's going to be really hard to move that clutch cable and put it in the clutch cover hole. Almost impossible. So after you got that all snugged, now you want to just go back through and tighten every one of them in a cross pattern. So it's like you did the clutch springs. Here, 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 here. Your ones on your inside. Yep, they only are supposed to be torqued about 8 foot-pounds, so it doesn't take a lot of torque to torque these down. A little snugness should do. You're going to want to go through this and repeat this process, because when you tighten them up on this side, they'll come a little loose on that side. So you're going to want to go through and do that a couple times. Make sure I got them all before I start my cross pattern again. One last cross pattern run. All right, so I'll start with this one. Across, back across to the opposite side, back up to the opposite side, back across across to the opposite side. Back up to the opposite side. Back over to this side. Back over to this side. Back over to this side. Back over here. And that's all of them. All 12 of them. All right. Let me start again. Now the last part of this, you want to make sure this is the last part because it's going to be real hard if you did this before all the rest of it. The bottom clutch cable probably is going to go in. All right, so you're going to take this piece that came out of the clutch lever. You're going to put this in first. Make sure this is all the way back down like it was. Line this slot up, and this slot up. So you're going to put this in the slot on the bottom. It's going to slide in. Then you take your clutch cable for leverage and you pull the clutch cable. Slide it in there and you're gonna have to pull hard. So pull real hard and then release and your clutch cable's back in. The last thing you have to do for your clutch. Now how you adjust it is it has a bunch of free play, so obviously it's not gonna work. You turn this lever until you have enough gap in it that a nickel fits in when it has free play. So a nickel just barely fits in there, not with me just sitting there. Line it up. It has just the free play of a nickel. And that's how you adjust your clutch. It's back to normal. If you put it too tight, you'll burn the clutches up. Let's see if I crank it all the way down and I have no free play enough to put this nickel in, your clutches will slip and it'll burn up. If it's too loose, your clutches won't disengage. You'll pull this and your clutch won't release far enough to disengage and your bike will keep going forward. So this is how you adjust your clutch. Adjust it until you have enough free play where you don't have to put any pressure on it. The nickel slides right in there. All right, now for the last part, you want to put your dampener back in there, line the hooks back up in your fairing. They slide up and snap in just like that. And then you have your 4 bolts. The big bolt, if you don't remember how you took them out, there should be 4 of them. This one has a big head on it. This one will go in the bottom corner, like so. All right. Now that you got this one in, you can put the other 3 in. Now the other 3 don't have a big head like that, but the one in the middle has its own metal washer. That's how you'll know this one's different. It doesn't matter which one goes where except this middle one. The middle one has a washer that goes in this section of the fairing. So that's how you'll know that is the right one. The other ones you can put one over here or one over, it doesn't matter. The last one, which goes right here. And you just snug those down. And you have now just finished the clutch installation on a 2011 to 2019 Zx10r. Thank you.